Today I'm going to be working on installing a trailer hitch on my 2017 Ford Transit 350 XLT. So here she is, the Badonka Tonka, the big girl, the battleship. Transit 350 XLT. My wife and I have had this for a couple years now, and we just recently purchased this camper. It's a 26-footer, and our van did not come with a trailer package on it, so I bought a trailer kit, got the rear hitch, and also a OEM style wiring harness for a 7-way plug, as well as the adapter to connect a brake controller. I'm going to try to get all this put on the van so we can tow our camper. First things first, I'm going to get the hitch put on. As you can see underneath the van, the spare tire is pretty predominant under here. I've got to put the hitch about right here, so let's get this spare tire out of the way. So in order to get the spare tire down, you open up the back doors on these Transits. There's a little plug here, lift it up. It's got a little key in it that you got to twist to lower the spare tire. That is located passenger side. This little panel right here. Gains access to the spare tire kit toolkit. So you need your tire iron. And pretty much the blade end of the tire iron fits down. Put it into that slot and then begin turning. That's the worst design I've ever seen. The cable comes down and fits into this little hole. So you have to lift the cover, pull the cable down, and slide the pin out. The problem is it got a little corroded, a little dusty, and you couldn't hardly get the thing out. There's another cable that comes down. This goes through one of the lug nut holes. And there's another thicker cable that connects to that, kind of keeps it all stable. But good grief, that was a pain in the neck. So here's the trailer hitch. It's a Curt 8,000 pound unit. Gross trailer weight, 800 pound tongue weight. I actually got, this is a class 4. I believe the item number is 14012. I actually got a class bigger than the rating that my van can actually do. The reason why I did that is because Class 3 only had a couple of, if I remember correctly, only had a couple of bolt points. This one has these 2 flanges here, which the other one did not. So I have two mounting holes right here, and then the 2 flanges down here. So it gave me more points of connection, and to me it looked a little bit more sturdy. Obviously, you don't want to tow greater than your vehicle is rated for, but I went ahead and got a trailer hitch that I know is little overkill just so I can have peace of mind in that regard. So comes with the bolt kit. This does say that I need some drilling, and I'll show you where I'm going to need to drill. Here's the underside of the van with the tire out of the way. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking these two bolts out, and I'll be using those as a mounting point. And then I'm going to have a bolt going through this hole, and then I have to have a bolt go through this little hole here. But I have to drill that out. Unfortunately, it's not that hole. It's going to be this one. I'm going to have to drill it out to at least this size so that I can run the bolt through it. This is somewhat hollow. Yeah, it's just a C channel. But yeah, I'm going to take these two out, and then it's going to fit between this rail and that rail on the other side. The transit vans are a unibody construction. It's not really sitting on a frame. There's a engine cradle mounted to the body at the front, and then there's the suspension is bolted to the bottom of the body. Has some framework on it back here, but it's not a long frame rail. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started in drilling out this hole to match the size of that hole over there. I'm gonna get my drill bits out and get that going. Alright, so I got the hole drilled, and the biggest drill bit I had was a 1/2 inch, and it seems to be just fine for the bolt, but I don't know how well that's going to work when I put my fishing wire on it. I need probably a bigger than a 1/2 inch. So I've seen people use those like cone shaped like step drills. So that's the biggest hole I can drill, so I'm going to see if I can get this to work with what I got here. So I'm going to take a file and kind of deburr the edges here, get that cleaned up. Alright, so I was able to fish the wire through and get this bolt in there. In order to get that to work, I had to take my 1/2 inch drill bit and just kind of wobble it around in there, trying to get this hole to be a little bit more oblong. Just going straight through didn't give me the angle I needed. It has to kind of come through at an angle. So I kind of rolled the drill bit back and forth a little bit, got some more metal out of there, and I was able to get it to drop through. So I'm going to go back to the other side and kind of wallow that hole out just a little bit. If you have a step drill or a drill bit bigger than a 1/2 inch, you won't have to do this, but this is what I got. Okay, so this definitely has been I'm not done yet. I still have a lot to do, but this has definitely been the most time-consuming part of the thing so far, is to try to get this particular hole bigger. As you can see, I don't know if you can see very well, but I basically had to make it about the same size as the hole that was behind it, even though this one's not being used. There is some weird kind of like plate that's behind this C channel here that's kind of angled. It'll make it very hard for that bolt to stand up tall enough to go through this hole with the backing plate on it. So this has got to go up in there behind the C channel, and that bolt's got to go through that. There's some angled piece of iron back here right where this hole is, so it made it very difficult to get the bolt in and stand up vertically to go through this hole. Well, I had to keep oblonging it. Now I finally did a test fit and I got the bolt to go through. Now I just spray some black enamel paint on there to try to cover the scratches I made and the exposed metal from oblonging the hole there. Here's the other side. You can see where I made the hole bigger and shot some paint on. I'm going to let that dry, and then once that's done I can get to these two bolts back here. I got to get those out. I'm going to reuse those, and then I'm going to use this bolt hole there and there.
Finally!
Whew, these boys are on there.
One eternity later.
There we go. Next thing I need to do is take a wire brush and clean these bolt holes out. Get all the debris out that I can. Now I'm ready to put the hitch in. Before I put the hitch in, I'm going to clean these bolts up, kind of get some of the scale and rust off of them. Get those clean again, and then clean up my surfaces here, make sure it's free of dirt and debris so there's nothing in between it and the frame rail. So now I'm ready to take my fishing wire. I got my bolt screwed onto the end of that. And the backing plate, I'm going to try to get this dude through the hole I drilled last night. Alright. I'll repeat the same process on the other side. Alright, I'm going to try to lift this up by myself and see if I can get these bolts started. I don't know if this is going to work real well or not. We'll see. Doesn't look like that hole's lining up real well. Looks like I got some space to move over with this thing, but it's hitting the frame rail pretty bad. I'll try to do some more finagling. So I pretty much have the hitch in its location, save for getting this bolt through the hole and getting those two tightened up there and then two tightened up on this side. Get the back one kind of tightened down just to keep it in place. I'll show you the problem here is this, where they tell you to drill. Not quite lining up here. On this end it's a little bit better, but it's still not lining up to where the bolt can go through and thread. So these are the last two hang-ups. By far the most difficult thing about this whole installation has been these two bolt holes. Paperwork says 30 minutes install or a 45-minute install. They're lying. Okay, I was able to finally enlarge the holes. Basically, now that the hitch is in place, I was able to just take my drill bit into there and just kind of get it started and enlarge it enough. Same for the other side. Shot some spray paint on it to keep the rust from getting down. Getting at it. So now what I'm going to do is to take these two and tighten them down to 90 foot-pounds, and then this one's going to get tightened down to 110 foot-pounds, and that will complete the installation. Well, there you have it. There's the installation of my Class 4 trailer hitch on my 2017 Ford Transit XLT 350. Pardon me while I interrupt myself, just to put a little bow on this video for you. First of all, I apologize for the low image quality of that footage. I actually recorded that about 3 years ago, and it was on a different camera. And I'm just now getting around to putting it on my YouTube channel, so better late than never, I guess. Just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of extra here on this video. There's the kind of the rear bumper side bolts bolted in. Here's more towards the center of the vehicle, and then up there were the back two that I had to tighten down. So since this video was originally recorded, it's actually been almost 3 years. Been on a few camping trips since then with the camper, and everything is still holding up just fine. Spare tires in there, plenty of room, and the hitch is still holding on and doing its job. Everything is working out just fine. Also, can't forget to show you that I did install a 7-way plug. I never did get around to trying to find a place to mount it on the bumper or anything. I've just kind of have it tucked in on top of the thing, and it literally has been fine for the last 3 years sitting right there. I didn't unfortunately take any video of getting the actual wiring harness installed, but I'll kind of show you the best I can about where I had to route it. So in order for this brake controller to work, you have to tap into your rear tail lights. Okay, so this wiring harness, this portion of it goes towards the front of the vehicle. This is the wiring harness that goes to the plug. This part goes to the passenger side tail light. This other side goes to the driver's side tail light. And the way the instructions said for this vehicle, you have to go through this block here. If I were to take this block out, I could show you up into the body of the vehicle. Basically, it would go straight up, literally behind the tail light. So it's been about 3 years since I've done this, but basically the wiring harness has a plug that goes to the back behind the tail light. There's a screw here and a screw down here that you have to take out, and this tail light should remove. Then you have access to the inside of the body cavity here of the vehicle that goes all the way down underneath. And you see it from the underside through that panel I just showed you. You fish the wire up there, you make your connection into the tail light. It kind of you just disconnect the sockets that's there, you put the wiring harness in between it, put the sockets back together, put it all back on, and then that makes that connection. You can put your tail light back on. The same thing happens over here. The wiring harness runs underneath the bumper, goes to that body plug, take the body plug out, fish the wire up here, take these 2 screws out, take the light out. There's a junction here. I think you have to pull this. Either you can see right behind it or not. I cannot remember if I had to take this panel off or not. I apologize, it has been 3 years. So I have this wiring harness going up into this plug. I cut a slit and drilled a hole here, and I just fed the wire harness up into it. I've seen some people just take just a chunk out of it and just have it going through there, but I didn't think that was gonna be very weather tight. So I just drilled a hole and then I slotted it so I can feed the wiring loom into the plastic and let it fit tight around the loom. Seemed to me the best way to do it. But again, you take this out, you can look straight up and see the back of the wiring harness for the tail lights. This has to plug into that tail light, and then obviously this other side goes the other way and plugs into that other tail light. And I have it going up into that panel there. So no, that's not real descriptive, maybe not very helpful, but maybe it'll get you started at least. Then I have this wire loom feeding literally the entire length of the vehicle, and I'll try to show you the length of it. But it starts back here. I've got zip ties holding up to the body. You can see it. You can see it following this loom right there, and it goes down the length of the body. I'll get you down there. So here's the skinnier of the 2 looms here is the wiring harness. I literally have it going up towards the fuel tank here, running along the side of the fuel tank, and it just keeps going and going. When you get the wire kit, I got mine from E-Trailer. When you get the wire kit, it's quite impressive how long the wires are. It was a little intimidating, but it really was not that hard at all. So just follow the loom all the way down, and we'll get you to the other side of the gas tank and show you. Okay, so now I'm about underneath the driver's seat area, and you can see this loom right here is still coming up this direction. I got it tucked in behind here. Here it comes. Okay, the loom continues on from the back here. You can see where I've zip tied it right here. It's kind of hiding, but I tucked it behind some looms here because I wanted to get it away from my exhaust. You see all this heat shielding here on the stuff, but basically it continues underneath the driver's seat side of the van, and then I have it starting to snake up towards the top of the firewall in the engine compartment. And again, I'm trying to keep it away from the exhaust pipe as much as I can. I know this all looks like just a bunch of jangled wires down here, but it follows this thicker loom into the engine compartment, and then it starts to go up towards the top of the engine bay. And I'll try to get you up top here to see that. All right, so here's the loom coming up from underneath the vehicle. I have it zip tied to this trunk right here, and that goes, this is a giant plug that goes into the firewall, and I had to get my wires to go into there because I have to plug it into the brake controller on the interior underneath the dash. So there's a section of wire that goes through this rubber boot thing, and I'm not gonna lie, that was hard to get the wires through that because it's very spongy and it's really hard to cut and get the wires through. But I don't know if you can see the loom kind of going through there it is, yeah, right there. Basically had to feed one wire in at a time, so that was difficult to do. And then the rest of the wires came up into the engine compartment. I had to do one for a ground, and then the rest of the wires came forward and up into this battery terminal for power. And you can see the tags here. There's brake control power for fuse, 7-way harness, power fuse, and the tow harness power module. So all of these came with the kit. I tried to make this as clean and as stock looking as possible. So I have all the looms kind of tucked away, out of the way of things. So basically I just took the wiring harness kit, started it in the rear, got the wires plugged into the taillights, hung my 7-way plug near the hitch where the receiver would be, and then ran the wires, zip tying them up against things tight, clean installation all the way up underneath the vehicle. Went up into the firewall area, try to keep it hugged up against the firewall, away from all the hot engine exhaust and all that. Brought the wires into the engine compartment through the firewall here. You see my little wires going in through the firewall there. And basically all these connections and everything, you just follow the instructions on your wiring harness kit. And I just went into my power source right up here in the van. Like I said, this has been 3 years since I've done this. I haven't had any issues with the wiring where I put it. Nothing's melting, nothing's getting hot. Everything seems to be working just fine. And then the wires that went in through the firewall, it was pretty far up underneath the dash. It was kind of hard to get to. And then I just ran my brake controller through my OBD panel here and ran my wires underneath the dash so where I can plug in my brake controller there. So the brake kit came with this plug, I believe, or this thing came with the plug, and I just wired it into the wires that I pushed through the firewall. I can't remember which. Either way, just follow the instructions on your kit. You shouldn't have any problem. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of where I put the wires on my vehicle to kind of keep things nice and tight and inconspicuous, out of the way, and make it look as factory as possible. And like I said, I have used the camper on a number of occasions with my brake controller, and it works fantastic. That wraps up the hitch installation on my 2017 Ford Transit 350 XLT. Mine's actually the 3.7 liter non-turbo version. It's actually, like I said, been about 3 years since I've installed this. It was a little tricky to get it in. It was heavy, kind of cumbersome. I actually, in hindsight, looking back on this, I probably would have jacked the back of the vehicle up a little bit. I was actually trying to put my chubby belly underneath the back here without really just at ride height, so it really made it difficult getting leverage on some of those stubborn bolts, as well as to try to get this hitch put into it. Things I would have done differently was get some help. Actually get another pair of hands would have been very helpful. I actually had to install the rear lower bolts in the back first and use them as a kind of a hinge with my jack on the receiver end and jacked it into place because that's how snug it was. I don't know if the Curt brand has changed their design at all since I bought that 3 years ago, but it's a little snug to get it in there. So if you want to try to tackle putting a trailer hitch on the back of your Transit, I'd say you have to have an adventurous spirit. Definitely need the tools and an extra pair of hands to get it done. It wasn't a hard job, but it wasn't easy, and it definitely took a lot longer than what the instructions said it probably would take. I'm pretty mechanically inclined. I work on all my own vehicles and everything, so I'm not a newbie at this, and it took me several hours to do, just trying to finagle the thing in, it was a snug fit. So it definitely wasn't an easy job, but it wasn't terribly difficult either, just a little frustrating at points. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for you. I do want to encourage you, if you think you can tackle this on yourself, do it. Go for it. Save yourself some money and having to take a vehicle to the shop. If you don't care about that, take it to a shop. Let somebody else do it for you. Save you some headaches. But if you want to save some money in labor and installation cost and all that, definitely try to go for it yourself. That wraps it up. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like switch on your way out. Consider subscribing and hit that notification bell when new content hits. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. God bless. We'll see you next time.